Everybody, welcome to the Daf Yomi Yerushalmi. We are in the Seches Megillah Daf Chav Ches Amid Aleph, and we are at the two dots, five lines down. Right to Gemara Malim Ko Basic Nesses Velikach Beis Hamedrash. We're going to discuss in Yanim of Malim Bekedusha. You can only sell one item. Right, there's a continuation of the Mishnah. You can, if you're going to sell an item of kedusha, you can only go up, can't go down. So, malum basic nessus lika basic medrash. Can you sell a basic nessus and buy a basic medrash? What has more kedusha? Is it a basic nessus, a shul, where in those days more of a nimtza, where they would only daven there? Mashenkin basic medrash, you could daven and learn there as well. So Milsa Rabbi Shuvah Levi Amra, Shari it's mutter, Dam Rabbi Shuvah Levi. We see from Rabbi Shuvah Levi it's mutter. Why? Because Dam Rabbi Shuvah Levi, but Yisref is Beis Hashem, Ze Beis Hamikdash. There's Beis Hamelech, Ze Palpun Shel Tzidkiyot. There's absolutely about that achuvah. It's called Bate Yerushalayim. They burned all the bottom of Yerushalayim. Elu, what are these referring to? Not Pashat Chat like you would think. That's referring to the houses of Yerushalayim. No, it's referring to Elu Arba Meis Shmoin and Bate Knesiyah Shahayi Yerushalayim. These are the 480 shuls that were in Yerushalayim, Bate Knesiyas. Damar Pinchas. They were 480 Bate Knesiyos in Yerushalayim. Hayallah Beis Sefer Ubeis Talmud. They each had a Beis Sefer, a kids' school. They also had a Beis Talmud. We learned now Beis Sefer Lemikra. Beis Talmud was Lemishna V'Kulam Allah Aspasianus. Aspasianus went and destroyed. He destroyed all of them. He says the Chaim adds over there the Shrivan, and he destroyed them. Okay. What is that? Zeh medrosha shel Yochanan ben Zakkai sheshama hayu masning gedolos shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where they would discuss the wonders of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kigoyin sapron aliyas kol hagedolos asher asa Elisha. So what do we see from over here? We see from over here it says Ves kol beis hagodol. Sorry for age. So Beis Hagodol, we see it's referred to not just as a bias, it's referred to as a bias Godol. The bias Godol is referring, see, that's the Beis Medrash. So you see, Beis Medrash has a higher kedusha than Beis Hakneses. So in short, you can sell a Beis Hakneses and buy a Beis Medrash with the funds. Okay. Actually, to just point out something that it says it's called Bate Yerushalayim. So why do we say it's not, like I said, it's not Pashit, that we say it doesn't just mean houses? Because for that, it could have said it was Kol Ir. Why is it called Bate Yerushalayim? So therefore, so medayik from that it's referring to the Bate Knesiyas. Okay. Mashmul Benachman B'Shem Rabbi Yonis on Hadod Atoma Beis HaKnesses. This that Shel Yochid. What are we saying that you can sell? It's a basic natural yachid, basic natural rabbi. Also, you can't sell it. Why? Because you could say there's one member somewhere in Timbuktu on the other side of the world, and without his permission, you can't go ahead and sell it. But we have a case where Reb Elazar Tzaddik bought basic Knesses in Alexandria, and he did his own personal lease with it. How can he do that if it belongs to the public? And the Gemara takes us to Pashit that it belongs to the public. And the Gemara Alexandria's also ways of Michel Atzman. Actually, Alexandria's they made it as a private shul. Either maybe they built it up tonight, it's private. The Gemara doesn't say that over here. Okay. That's okay. We built it originally for a shul. Why? It has kedusha in it. What about Bani L'Shem Chatzah? He built it for Stam Chatzah, Viktisha, and then there's Makdash it as a shul. Now, what's the din? What's the din over there? Does it have a kedusha space a knesses or not? Nashminu nado koine l'bayzeh sheini nichnas v'nasa beis knesses. So the guy says, "I'm koinim. I swear I'm not walking into this guy's house," and that house now became a shul. Right? We see that over here in Brooklyn, Campbell Shtiblich. So and now Benasa basic knesses, that house now became a shul. Adam wrote Benoya L'Shem Chotzer V'Ikdisha Kacha. So you see from over there, it's Nasa Beis HaKnesses. So how's it Nasa Basic Knesses? Became a Basic Knesses because they set aside. They said now we're going to use it as a shul, and now I guess the guy will be mutter to go in there. We see it has Kedusha's Basic Knesses. Right, Gemara, okay, tell me it has Kedusha's Basic Knesses. Same as Kitcha. When does it become? When does it assume that Kedusha's Basic Knesses? Is that miyad right away, or that or b'shas hatashmish, or is that when it's being used? In other words, is it immediately we say, okay, this is now a shul, I dubbed the shul, so now it's a shul, immediately it has Kedusha's Basic Knesses, or is it when we actually daven there? Now, Shmina, though, let's see if we can prove it over here. It's a teva. L'shem sefer umitpachos l'shem sefer. So if you make an Aron Kodesh, make a box, put a sefer Torah in it. If you make, or if you make a mantle, l'shem sefer for a sefer, again like a cover. In those days, again, remember it was a scroll. Actually, when nishtamish ben a sefer, mut l'shtamish ben hedyot. If you didn't use it for a sefer, a hedyot can use the mantle. Nishtamish ben a sefer, also l'shtamish ben hedyot. Right, and once it's been used for sefer, then a hedyot can't use it anymore. Uma im elu shenas l'shem sefer any kadeshes elu b'shas hatashmish. Ma'adoch these mantles, which were made specifically for the sefer, it only gets kedusha when you use it. Lusha b'noy l'shem chatzah. This basic nest that was originally built as a chatzah, like kol shekain, certainly it's not going to be mekudesh until you actually use it. Okay. If you have, let's say, you made these for chulin, right? I guess these mitpachos were made, right? If you made them for l'shem hedyot, and I decide this mitpachas, this mantle, you're going to use it be'egish mahin. So Kamodat Omat Hamon, On Yerushalmi Megillah Daf, is Kaddish. So just like you said by the basic Knesses, we built it originally as a stam chutz, and now it's a shul. Same thing would apply for these mantles that were originally made for hedyot, and I decided using for sefer. It adapts now kedusha of the sefer, of the tashmish sefer, I should say. Klishos Memasayim Kadeshin. Now we have to klishos in the base of Mikdash. When do they become kaddish? Miyad, right away, when it's set aside to be used in the base of Mikdash, or b'shas hatashmish, when it's actually used. Now, in Miyad, Micha makes a lot of sense. Mekadosh it now. I say this is going to use this as a klishos so that it has kedusha. Makes a lot of sense. But in b'shas hatashmish, that it's only when it's used. Is that ka'achas and kadeshim miskachim? So when it's used, I take dam, let's say from a carbon, I pour it into this cup, right, into the mizrach, and now the mizrach becomes kaddish, and it's also mekadosh at the same time. The dam, it doesn't sound so logical to say that. Gemara says nichashal Moshe. Why sheniskachu b'shem mishcha? The ones that were used in the midbar, Moshe Rabbeinu's mekadosh them b'shem the mishcha. Bram shel shloima ka'achas and kadeshim miskachim. Let's say shloima melech. Right, so it was like we said, it was mekudesh and miskadish at the same time. So the Gemara says, what they did was they would first pour, let's say, the dam into the kli of Moshe, and then take that mizrach and pour it in the kli shel shloima. So this way you had both. Now you had the dam was already kaddish because it had been in the kli of Moshe, and you mekadosh the kli shel shloima when you used it for the dam. Let's say, I guess there's a theory that Gemara says what Metzah the Kel Moshe didn't exist by then. It was hundreds of years later. So you have no choice. You have to say that they came Mekadosh and Miskadish at once. When they came back for the Bayeshenia, again, you have to say that they were Mekadosh and Miskadish at the same time. Right? Nor says now, if you set aside avon to used for a mace, asuras ba'noyik. Because once something is, we're going to say egla roof, it's a sham by the egla roof, and the same way has to stay over there by the egla rufa. So too, forever, it's also to be used. The same thing would apply to things set aside for a mace. So if you have avonim that were chutzim, that were hewn, that were cut, l'shem meis, it's made for a tombstone. Asur is ba'anoi. L'shem chal l'shem meis. Now, as you said, well, if I have opportunity to use it for chayim fine, if not, I use it for a meis. Mutar is ba'anoi. Azor klul of name mitzvah shel meis. There was a minute they used to throw a kalim by a mace, and if that was clothing, or they used to throw things by a mace, that was a minig. So l'toich abba amos shaloi also ba'anoi. If it's within abba amos of the mace, it's also ba'anoi. Because it's the mace was kind of chesla abba amos mutar ba'anoi. Kokli basic knesses, ki basic knesses. All the kalim basic knesses adapt a kedushas basic knesses. Sapsala, the kaltira, the bench, and kaltira is a table, ki basic knesses. And then in other words, you can use it until it gets worn out, and then you just throw them out. Kilo, Del Haroina, the curtain in front of the Aron, the parochas on the Aron, is Karenis din of an Aron, even though, again, it's a tashmish to tashmish, right? Because the Aron itself is a tashmish for the Sefer Torah. So the parochas is a tashmish for the Aron. But still it has a kedusha. Rabavo Yav Gulsa Tachtoi Bahein Kilin. He used to take his coat and put it on to protect you, put it under the curtain of the Aron. Chaim Kaneski says, it's shtickle shveh. How can you do that? Because Lamaisa has a kedusha and it's designed to use it for tzarchei. Oh, it doesn't give an answer. Okay. Yehuda b'shem Shmuel, bima, levachin, bima. Levachin machloik is what it is. It's either boards that supported the bima, or might be a luach with different things written on it, maybe like maybe the brachas. The eimem mishum kedushas aroin, but b'yesh behem mishum kedushas basic knesses again. So if they get worn out, you just throw them out. Ingalin, aim boy mishum kedushas aroin, but yesh boy mishum kedushas basic knesses. The poles that you hang the parochas on by the Aron Kodesh, those have a din of kedushas basic knesses. Rabbi Yirmiyah Ozal, he went to Galvana, the city, B'chantun Yavon, Makusha B'gayron. He saw them putting according to some shots, the stick, or it's the yad. Like we use today, you have a silver yad for the Sefer. He saw them storing it in the Aron, like we do today. Also showed Rabbi Yirmiyah, asked Rabbi Yirmiyah, allowed to do this. That they made it tonight when they built the Aron for the Sefer Torah. They could put in other things also, even things of Chol they could put there, and that works that night. Rabbi Yonah Abed Le Migdal, and I have an example. He built a teva for the Aron. But Asni Eloin, he made it tonight. He learned the Sefer, and the upper shelf will be for the Sefer Torah. V'araya Demonin, and underneath there will be another shelf, and the lower shelf will be for whatever Tashmish. I guess you don't put the kelim on top because maybe it's a for the Sefer Torah. The Sefer Torah go on top, maybe. That's my own. Mitpachas loichin svarim. So if they sell, we said a mitpachas, you sell the mantle of a sefer, you can buy actual svarim with the proceeds. So the Gemara says, even though I have mitpachas that was used, let's say, for sefer Torah, I can sell that mitpachas and buy nevi miksuvim, even though chara might be going down, because this was used now for a sefer Torah. Now I'm buying a chumash with it. So we say no, because that's a tashmish of the Sefer Torah. It's not the actual Sefer Torah. It doesn't have the kedusha of the Sefer Torah. Svarim lichum with pachas. If you sell svarim, you cannot buy a mantle with that. Now, fil nevim ksuvim eno kefem mit pachas Torah chumashim. So in other words, you can't go sell nevim ksuvim, a sefer nevim ksuvim, and buy a mantle for a Sefer Torah. You can't do that. That's not considered to be malam mekadosh. Karchem Torah mit pachas Torah. We wrap again. It's a mantle we use of a Torah. It's used for Torah chumashim and mitpachas chumashim, nevim mitpachas nevim. Okay, those are obvious, but it's an introduction to what we're about to say. Torah chumashim and mitpachas nevim mitzuvim. You can use the mantle of a navi, right, of nevim mitzuvim, to put on a Torah and a chumash. Chumash here refers to where instead of having the whole Sefer Torah in one shot, you have it split up by the chumashim, Bereishis, Shmos, Beikra, etc. You can't take the mitpachas of the Torah and use it for Nevi Miksuvim. Nice in Torah, you can put one Torah top of another Torah. One chumash top of another chumash. And Torah chumash legabe Nevi Miksuvim, you could put the Torah chumash on top of a Navi of Nevi Miksuvim. I'm loy Nevi Miksuvim agabe Torah chumash, but not Nevi Miksuvim on top of Torah chumashim. I had Rabbi Folman over Shalom. Who I heard say, this was way back in 8th grade, that he asked Rav Moshe, and Rav Moshe told him that this does not apply to printed svarim. So if you have a chumash, like we would call a chumash today, and you take a siddur and put on top of the chumash, there's nothing wrong with that. So going to Ramesh. Okay, Rabbi Yirmiyah B'Shem Reb Zura, Torah v'Chomoshin Orak Tani Minei. The Torah never told you the Tana Orak Tani. The Tana ran away. It never told me what's the halacha. Can I put a chumash on top of a Torah? He didn't tell me that. Fine. Kosin Torah Nevi'im Kach the Reb Meir. Again, keeping in mind those days everything was a scroll. So Reb Meir says you can take a scroll, write out a Sefer Torah like we have a Sefer Torah today, except continue and you'll have Yeshua, Shoftim, etc. Reb Meir says no problem doing that. Chomer, no. Ein Kosin Torah Nevi'im Ka'achas. You cannot write Torah Nevi'im on one scroll. Avol Kosin Nevi'im Ksuvim Kach. Nevi'im Ksuvim, yes. Why Torah Nevi'im not? Because he's starting out right the way you write. He's going to start with Torah. He's going to finish up with Nevi'im Ksuvim, which means that what's going to happen is when you roll it up, you're going to end up with Torah on the bottom and Nevi'im Ksuvim on top, which we just learned you can't do. Rabbi Yirmiyah Rav Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzchak, Torah Chumashim, Kedusha Achasein, Torah and Chumashim, and again, Torah is all Chamisha Chumsha Torah, and one Sefer we have today, and Chumashim is we have the scrolls separated. They really have one Kedusha. However, ain't oisen Torah Chumashim, aber oisen Chumashim Torah. You can't take a Torah and be mechalik it into different Chumashim. So you have one whole Sefer Torah. And so I know something, maybe I don't have enough room for it. I want to split it up. I'll make five svarim out of it. I can't do that. Rabbi Yosef, the Amr of Torah Shasach Chumashim B'Kedusha Sahi remains in its Kedusha. Because the only reason you can't do it is because it's a bizo. You're taking you have a whole Sefer Torah, you mechalik it to five different chumashim. The other way around, obviously, it's not a bizo. The other way around, taking the five chumashim, putting it together, and having one Sefer Torah, that's perfectly fine. Now, Shul Banachim Mishem Rabbi Yonis and Torah Chaser. If you have a Torah, it's missing something in it. It's a chaser, missing a few words, missing something. A Gillian, Reb Chaim says, ain't kohen baba rabbin. Can't use it in public. It's not a cover of the rabbin. V'otani, if you understand, v'otani v'reishis ad ha'mapel, v'vayikra ad v'yehi v'yoyim hashmini, v'vayidaber ad v'yivin sarim. These are all one in Yom. But the likra is baba rabbin. But and you have a chumash. Notice you have one chumash. And it's not even a complete chumash, but you have one complete inyan. Notice you have starting from Bereshis, going till after the Mabel, which we view as one long inyan. As long as you have that, you can read from it. Okay, the Gemara doesn't give an answer, according to, at least according to Chaim Kanievsky, according to one shot in the Karban Eda, the next thing is already another story. According to the Karban Eda, there's another shot that it is an answer. But okay. Ada Arsakinas. Oikid Araisa de Tzimberoi. There was a Rasha, Arsakinas, he was a guy, and he burnt the Sefer Torah of Tzimberoi. That had my one Sefer Torah over there, and he burnt it. And I guess there was some left over. It wasn't completely burnt. Also, Shalom Rabbi Yono, Rabbi Yosef, Ma Likres, the Sefer Barabba. Can I use this Sefer Torah in public? Maloin Asa, he said to them Asa. Lloyd the Asa, not really because it was Asa, it wasn't really Asa to use it. Elamin Goy, the Nafshahoin, Agima, Inun Zavdun Lahoin Achari. Because this way they'll be depressed if they don't have a kosher Sefer Torah to use. They can't use this burnt one. So they'll motivate themselves to buy a new Sefer Torah. Wonderful.